Hi guys, this is Mrs. Prince, and today I'll be helping you out with problems involving lines, rays, and angles. Okay, so we have quite a few vocabulary words for this section. Let's go over some terms before we take a look at some examples. So our first term is a point, and a point names a specific location in space or on an object. So this is exactly what a point would look like. It's just a dot basically, and it's labeled with a letter. So for example, this would be called point X. And point X could be anywhere in space, or it could be, for example, on a line segment, again, on any kind of object. All right, our second term is a line. And a line is a straight path that goes infinitely in both directions with no endpoints. So for example, this would be called line AB. The arrows on the end here indicate that the line goes on infinitely in both directions. So there's no endpoints. It does have 2 points on it though called AB. So the way we would write this is line AB, where you would put the letters that are the points. You would write the letters down and then put the symbol for the line over it. Okay, good. Our next term is a line segment, and a line segment is different from a line because it's simply a part of a line with 2 endpoints. So basically it's different from a line because it has 2 endpoints. So for example, this would be called line segment YZ. And again, you would use the letters of the points with just a bar over it that ends showing that it's a line segment. Okay, our next term is ray, and a ray is a part of a line with 1 endpoint and 1 end going infinitely in one direction. So it's kind of a cross between a line and a line segment because it has 1 endpoint and then it goes as a line infinitely in one direction. So this would be called ray ST, and again you would call it ST and then put the ray symbol over the top of the 2 letters. And then finally we have a plane, and a plane is a flat surface that doesn't end, and it's named by at least 3 points on the plane. So see, this is a flat surface, and these arrows here indicate that it goes on and on and on in all directions infinitely. It doesn't end. And for planes, we don't have a symbol that goes over the points here. And again, with a plane, it's a little different because you have to name 3 points on it. You would just call it plane XYZ. Okay, good. So using these geometric terms, let's figure out which one works best for this. So our example says, which geometric term best describes a pencil? Is it A, a line, B, a segment, C, ray, or D, plane? Excellent job. You should have said B, line segment. The reason why is although it kind of looks like a ray, it has an endpoint here and it looks like it's going infinitely in one direction. A pencil is a fixed distance. It has an endpoint here and an endpoint here. It doesn't go infinitely on. We don't have an infinitely long pencil. So because it has an endpoint here and an endpoint at its tip, it would best be called a line segment. Okay, good. Let's take a look at another example here. This one says, draw and label the figure named below. So draw and label ray JK. Go ahead and do that and click continue when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, great job. So all you want to do here is just draw a ray anyway. You could draw a ray going this way, you could draw a ray going this way, and you also want to make sure it has the points JK. So you'd want to write a J and a K on here, and then again, its name would be ray JK. So again, make sure it has an endpoint, goes infinitely in one direction, and has 2 points on it indicated by J and K. Okay, good. Now let's move on to angles. So the definition of an angle is 2 rays which share an endpoint. So this would be considered an angle, and we call this angle, we'd call it angle EFG, so EFG. And as you can see, this is 2 rays, they share an endpoint. This is their endpoint. We have a ray going this way and a ray going this way. A vertex is the point where the 2 rays meet. So this middle point here, the endpoint that they share, is called their vertex. So this would be their vertex at F. Now there are 3 types of angles we're going to be looking at here. Our first type of angle is the right angle. And a right angle measures 90 degrees and forms the corner of a square. It's basically just 2 perpendicular lines, line going this way, and our angle here forms a square corner. The next type of angle is an acute angle. And an acute angle is an angle that is smaller than a right angle. So as you can see, I have this dotted line here showing a right angle. So an acute angle would be anywhere in between here and here. It's not an exact straight line, but it's somewhere between the right angle and a straight line. And then finally we have an obtuse angle, which is an angle that is bigger than a right angle. And again, I've shown a right angle here, so we want it to go to the left of the right angle, so it's bigger than this, but it doesn't go all the way to the straight line. So it's basically anywhere from here to here. So this in-between part, the line that would go past a right angle. Okay, so using these angles, let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. Our first example says, name an angle that describes the corner of a book. So we're going to be looking at a book's corner right here. So would it be A, acute, B, right, or C, obtuse? Excellent job. You should have said B, right. We just talked about how a right angle forms the corner of a square, and a book usually is a square or rectangle. It has that 90-degree angle, two perpendicular lines meeting. Okay, good. Let's take a look at one last example here. So this one says, what kind of angle is shown below? So basically we're looking at, is it acute, is it right, or is it obtuse? And it says the angle is acute, yes or no. Excellent job. You should have said yes. The reason why, remember a right angle goes straight up like this, and an acute angle is smaller than a right angle, so it has to be somewhere in between here and here, which this is. The ray goes right through here. So the angle is acute. All right, great job with lines, rays, and angles. Have fun with these.